Chapter 9 Hannibal Crosses the Alps. The Romans faced many enemies, but the strongest and most determined enemy they ever faced was an African general named Hannibal. Hannibal came from Carthage, a city on the coast of Africa. Carthage was home to many merchants and traders. Carthage also had an army and a navy. The Carthaginians took over much of North Africa and Spain. They even took over islands off the coast of Italy. The Romans saw Carthage as a rival. They fought 3 wars against Carthage. These wars are known as the Punic Wars and are thought to have been fought during the years 264 to 146 BC. So if you look at the map, you can see Rome, the Roman territory is in red, and the Carthaginian territory is in purple. You can see there's quite a bit of purple, and most of that is along the northern coast of the continent of Africa and parts of Spain. Hannibal's father fought against Rome in the First Punic War, 264 through 241 BC. He made his son swear he would carry on the fight against Rome. Hannibal swore he would and kept his promise. It was Hannibal who led the fight against Rome in the Second Punic Wars from 218 to 201 BC. Hannibal gathered an army in Spain. He had tens of thousands of foot soldiers. He had thousands more who fought on horseback. Best of all, he had his special forces, a squad of elephants. Hannibal had learned that a few men are brave enough to stand and fight when they see a thundering herd of elephants coming their way. Hannibal wanted to attack Rome. However, to invade Italy, he would have to march his army over a range of mountains called the Alps. The Alps were tall. The peaks were covered with snow and ice. There were no big roads that led across. There were only a few slippery paths. Let's look here real quick at the years 218 through 201 BC. If you notice, the years count backwards, and that's because it was before Common Era, or what they call before Christ. And so the closer to 0, the more recent it would be. Once it gets to 0, then we have AD, and we count forward. These are almost like negative numbers if we were thinking about them on a number line. Most men would not have tried to cross the mountains, but Hannibal was not like most men. He marched his army over the mountains. His men suffered terribly. Some died from rock slides or avalanches. Others froze to death. Many of the elephants did not make it across. In the end, though, Hannibal got his army across the mountains and into Italy. In Italy, Hannibal went on the attack. He beat the Romans at Trebae in 218 BC. Then he wiped out an entire Roman army at the Battle of Trasimene in 217 BC. The Romans lost 15,000 men. The Battle of Cannae was even worse. The Romans lost at least 50,000 men, including 80 of their 300 senators. People thought that might be the beginning of the end for Rome. They did not see how the Romans could go on, but the Romans did go on. They raised another army and sent it out to stop Hannibal. This time, the Romans avoided big battles. Instead, they fought a lot of little battles. They attacked Hannibal's army here and there. They blocked his troops and slowed down his marches. They also launched a counterattack. A Roman general named Scipio took Roman troops to Africa. The leader of Carthage wrote to Hannibal, They told him to come home and protect Carthage. Hannibal did as he was told. He left Italy and returned to Carthage. At the Battle of Zama, he confronted Scipio. This time, the Romans were victorious. Hannibal won most of the battles in the Second Punic Wars, but he lost the war. After the Battle of Zama in 202 BC, Carthage was never quite the same. They fought another war against Rome, the Third Punic War, in the years 149 through 146 BC, but it was clear that Carthage was sinking and Rome was on the rise. Okay, let's look at our questions. Hannibal crosses the Alps. Choose the best answer. Be sure to read carefully. So go back into your text and make sure you write your page numbers. Please take your time. A lot of you are just guessing and you're making zeros. Very bad mistakes because you're not wanting to take your time to go back and reread. Number 1, why did the Romans see the Carthaginians as rivals? Was it A, because they traveled on horseback? B, because they used their navy and army to take over much of North Africa, Spain, and the islands off the coast of Italy? Was it because Carthage had many merchants and traders? Or was it D, because the Carthaginians were strangers? Number 2, why did Hannibal fight in the Second Punic Wars? Was it because A, he was a brave leader? B, because he had tens of thousands of foot soldiers? C, because he promised his father he would carry on the fight against Rome? Or D, because he loved a challenge? Number 3, why did Hannibal have to cross the Alps? A, because all the Carthaginian boats had sunk. B, because it was winter and the large road across the Alps was the only safe way to get to Rome. C, he was leading his army from Spain, so he had to cross the Alps with his soldiers and elephants. Or because D, he had lost 50,000 men in an earlier battle. Number 4, how did the Romans beat the Carthaginians after losing so many men in the battles of Trebia, Trasimene, and Cannae? Was it A, because many Carthaginians joined the Roman army? B, the Romans crossed the Alps and took over all of North Africa? C, the Romans had a squad of elephants? Or D, they raised another army and fought a lot of little battles? And number 5, why did Hannibal return to Carthage? Was it because A, his army was defeated? B, all of his elephants had been killed? Or C, the leaders of Carthage asked him to come back to protect Carthage from the Romans' counterattack? Or D, the Carthaginians chose Hannibal to be king of Africa?